I want to talk about a contrast that I think is very interesting because I just actually experienced it um, in a session of healing. And it's actually really cool to talk about healing because, very specifically, you experience a dynamic of thoughts and feelings. When you're in the process, and I was actually just like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes after healing, my sweetheart called me and I told her that I had one of the most, I guess I'll call it, cutting edge healing sessions of my life. And she thought that I did it with my psychologist, who she also knows. But um, I told her that I did it myself. And basically, what I want to talk about here is this contrast between your interaction with a person, your relationship with a person. Let's look at it specifically as you and your parent, right? Because it is likely that the two people that are going to fuck you up the most in life are your parents. um it's highly likely. It is highly likely. And highly likely, there we go. And this kind of like contrast of how you approach your thoughts and feelings regarding the the ways that your parents or that your parent traumatized you. um it's very interesting because like you could find yourself like ballistically screaming and cursing at your parents in a healing session by yourself. Of course, you're not doing this in person to them. um but then like recognizing the fact that like they're your parent and that like you still love them, they love you, hopefully. um and I think that contrast, that experience is very interesting because I've gone into it. I've literally like wow. Like, and today was one of those wow, one of those experiences of just diving into the shit. And I just thought that it was very powerful. Um Basically what oh wait, hold on a second. Hey love, I'm shooting a YouTube video. Want to be part of it? All right, here we go. Hold on. All right, you're on speakerphone. What do you want to talk about?
Um,
Do you actually want to do this or no?
yeah,
Okay, okay,
but
cool.
I don't know what to talk about. My internet is not working.
Okay, do you want to talk about healing, because that's what I was just talking about.
Okay.
Cool. So basically what I was just exploring was my my fascination regarding this like contrast between how like you have your relationship with like your parents or whoever traumatized you, and the way that you approach that stuff in your healing session can be very, I don't know, dualistic. You're gonna have two approaches because like you recognize the fact that you love this person, but then at the same time you're projecting very serious, or not, sorry, not projecting, you are directing very serious emotions towards these people. And like you have to recognize like the fine line between like, okay, I'm doing this for healing, I'm doing this and I recognize that it's for healing. Meanwhile, like, I love this person, it's my father, it's my mother, like, I just think that that's very interesting, and I wanted to explore that because I was telling you today on the phone, Perla. I I was sitting down and like I don't know, 15, 20 minutes into it, and I was like, wow, this is one of the best healing sessions I've had. And then I was looking at the dynamics and I was like, there's a crazy contrast here. Like, I recognize, the relationship that I have with these people, but I also recognize how much they, fucked me up. So it's very interesting. Yeah, whatever you want to add.
You were asking me a question. I think, or that's what you feel you're trying to ask me.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know, like if you have any like input or like perspective on like trauma and healing.
well, the type of healing you're describing is the hardest one because when you're trying to heal relationships, heal from a relationship, you should cut contact and move forward. Try to feel what you need to feel and try to move forward with your life. But when it's healing from people that are still going to be in your life, you still need to distance yourself. But you know at some point you're going to come back to them. You cannot, I don't think you can really heal with them if they're not part of the process. Like, if they're not healing as well, something, or they're not willing to recognize that you hurt them and that you are healing from that. And 99% of the cases, people do not acknowledge that. So expecting that is futile, and it's better not to. So you cannot really heal with them. You have to distance yourself in order to heal, and kind of reestablish a new relationship with them with new boundaries. But before you do that, like I said, you need to separate.
Really great perspective. Really great insight. Which is the exact opposite thing that I've said. Which is interesting because when you don't do what she's suggesting, you stay in the system, or you stay. It could be a system with multiple people, or it could just be like 2 people, whatever it is, or 3 people. How whatever it is. You have to. Like she's saying, you have to set those standards and boundaries. You have to separate and stuff, and you've got to do your own work, and you really can't look for them to do anything. Don't expect anyone to do what you're doing, because it's more often likely than not that they're not going to be doing that. Regarding the people that I've come across in life, and I hate to say this, but regarding the people that I've come across in life, shit just goes straight the fuck over their head. The amount of obliviousness that just I can see in the facial expressions on people is just the answer's right in front of your face. How are you not aware of this, that, and the other, and that kind of stuff. It confuses me because it's I don't know,
Well, healing is for you, it's not for them. So why you expect them to understand?
Well, basically what I'm saying, yes, the healing is for me and not for them, unless they, of course, if they choose to do their own thing, that's their choice. But, when there have been clear indications throughout the history of a relationship that, okay, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, it's was it really just brushed underneath the carpet, and we all forgot about it, and we just decided that we were going to move on. That's really unhealthy if that's the case, and a lot of people do that, I know. But just the amount of people that have been a part of this experience of my life, that it's not a lot of people, but just I feel the sense of awareness that would be necessary to be there in regards to what happened, that's not there. It's that's concerning. So that's basically what I'm trying to get at. I wanted to kind of conclude to this being that healing is a very personal journey. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. The way that I was traumatized is different from the way that she was traumatized. Different things traumatize different people at different levels, and I think that that's very fascinating. So here's the other thing that I wanted to talk about too real quick, actually, and then I guess I can wrap up after this. I was looking at a very specific moment of my life back when I was in high school, and something happened that traumatized me. I'm not going to say what it was, but what I am going to say is that if my other siblings were there, they could have experienced it completely different and had a completely different insight regarding it, and have that insight completely differently, completely in a completely different way shape their life. So that's wild. My shit is actually very unique, and so is yours, Perla. So it's looking at it from that perspective and that standpoint. Everyone does want to compare trauma. We're all just comparison freaks. We kind of do that. I don't mean to call anyone freaks, of course, but we're all jumping the gun of trying to compare our shit to everyone else's. And I think it's interesting because like trauma is not comparable. Like the way that I thought of it, yeah, and it could even be this, by the way, like the emotional state that two different people are in when they're experiencing the same event could shift them into two completely different mindsets. Regard like this person could be traumatized while this person could be like, fuck yeah. Like it's just like it's crazy. Trauma is such an interesting thing. It almost makes me want to study it. Yeah. What else is there? Yeah, I think that's it. I didn't really know what I was going to talk about until I did a healing session, so I'm really happy that I took the time to do that. But here's what I want to end off on.
Okay.
Healing, like what Teal Swan talks about, what Carl Jung talks about, shadow aspects of the self. Healing introduces you, if you don't already know it, because like I didn't know how beneficial it would be to scream my brains out in my car until I started doing it. I do believe that I've begun to further develop my voice and my own personal, authentic, in-frame energy as I've started to become familiar with screaming my brains out. And healing introduces you to parts that, and this is of course shadow work, but healing introduces you to parts that you definitely disown, because like, there's this idea of, I've been locked inside of this prison, this idea that my rigid role is a nice guy, people pleaser, codependent, who puts everyone else before himself, and who isn't truly fulfilled himself. And so like with that comes this idea of like, all right, maybe along those lines I learned something like, you're not allowed to get angry because you're a nice guy, you're super fucking soft, you're not allowed to get angry. So healing actually requires you to step outside of that belief system and challenge. And I remember we were watching that episode of The Deep End, Perla, and that woman that was with Teal was talking about how she was, Teal was like, I'm telling you, you can get angry. And I think that she was like, no, I can't. I think that was the prison that her parents or whoever traumatized her locked her inside of subconsciously. And I look at that and like me, like I've had people, including you, Perla. I've had people tell me to tell them to their face, fuck you. Like try to do it seriously, and I had the inability to do so. Never intending it in a bad way, but it's just like, it's that kind of like soft, nice guy, people pleaser mentality. And you get locked inside of this idea of who you are. And for a lot of people, it's a what do you call it? It's a it's not a help, it's a hindrance, because it's not helping you evolve. So yeah, that's how I'll end that off. You want to say anything else, Perla?
No, I think you did a good job.
Cool. This feels like a podcast episode. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna end.
Are you like in the camera?
Huh?
Are you in the camera, in front of the camera?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this off now though, and I'm gonna get on with you. Okay.
Okay.
All right.